here are 3 budget-friendly vegan Instant Pot recipes. My first Instant Pot budget recipe is a spin on Mexican rice and beans, except we're gonna add all of these ingredients straight into the Instant Pot and cook them all together. The main ingredients in this dish are rice and beans, not surprising. I buy all my grains and beans and legumes in bulk because it's always cheaper that way. And then I can also buy the exact amount called for in a recipe so that I don't waste any food or it doesn't get lost in my pantry. And this is long grain brown rice. I found this at Whole Foods in the bulk section for 75 cents a pound, which is really inexpensive, at least by New York City standards. So I was really excited about that. And these are dried pinto beans. And if you buy canned beans, you're probably thinking, well, canned beans aren't that expensive. But if you're buying a can of beans, it's at least $1 and you're getting about 1 3/4 cups of beans. But if you buy a pound of beans, these were $1.29, you're getting about 7 cups of cooked beans. So there's a really big price saving, especially over the long run. To give this dish a little more flavor, I'm going to start off by sauteing some aromatics. I'm gonna use a red onion, some garlic, and a green bell pepper. Honestly, I don't love green peppers. I kind of hate them, but they are a lot cheaper than red bell peppers. And once you cook them down with some spices and everything, you won't really taste the terrible taste of green peppers. If you hate green peppers as much as me, of course, you can use a red bell pepper, but I'm trying to be budget conscious and green peppers are a lot cheaper than red peppers. And to add some more flavor to give that Mexican spice, I'm using a variety of different spices and some chili powder, salt, pepper. And if you're wondering, are spices budget friendly? The answer is yes. Once you make that initial investment to buy the spices, it's definitely a good investment as long as you store them well. I store them in a cool, dry spot in my pantry inside here, which is too messy to show you. But don't store them above your stove, which I know a lot of people do because the heat from the stove is gonna damage them and they're not gonna have as long of a shelf life. I normally would cook this kind of recipe in vegetable broth just to give it a little extra flavor. But water is free, so I'm using water today, and you can add a little more flavor by adding more spices and salt. And the last 2 ingredients to go into the Instant Pot are canned tomato sauce. This was 79 cents, and crushed tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce jar. I actually only need 15 ounces, but this is where reading prices and comparing things can come in handy. I wanted to buy a 15-ounce jar of crushed tomatoes, and the only variety at the store was $2.39, but this Whole Foods 365 brand that is 28 ounces, so almost twice the size, was only $1.69. So I bought that one instead, and I'll use half today, and I'll save the rest for a soup or a stew that I'll make later this week. I'm gonna start by heating up some olive oil on the saute setting of the Instant Pot and saute that red onion and green pepper until they get nice and soft. Then I'll add the garlic for just about a minute until it's fragrant, followed by the spices and a generous amount of salt and pepper. I'll deglaze the pan by adding in the water, followed by the pinto beans. These beans have been soaked for about 8 hours. Soaking is essential because it cuts down the cook time enough such that it can cook along with the brown rice at the same time. Then I'll add the crushed tomatoes and tomato paste, give it a light stir, and then we'll use the pressure cook setting at high pressure for 12 minutes. This next recipe is for a breakfast for peanut butter banana oatmeal, and not only is it inexpensive, it's also really easy to make. You literally are just gonna take some of these ingredients, put them in the Instant Pot, walk away, and you'll come back to creamy, delicious oatmeal. It couldn't be simpler. If you've seen some of my other oatmeal recipes, you know that I usually use some sort of plant-based milk, such as almond milk, to cook my oats in. But this is a budget video, and cooking your oats in water is frankly cheaper than cooking them in some bougie plant-based milk. But I also don't want my oats to be bland and watery, so I made a little bit of a compromise, and I'm using some canned light coconut milk with a combination of water. And the two of those together are cheaper than using store-bought plant milk. This was $1.99. This is the Whole Foods 365 brand, which is really affordable. plus water, which is free. And because this is so rich and creamy, you're not gonna really know that it's cooked in water as well. So it's a nice balance between saving money and also having a really creamy oatmeal. I always sweeten my oats just a little bit as well because I'm not willing to eat bland, boring oatmeal, and neither should you. Usually I sweeten them with medjool dates, bananas, or maple syrup. The cheapest option, of course, are bananas, probably the cheapest fruit you can get at the grocery store. And I'm gonna put those directly in the Instant Pot with the oats and the milk and the water. And then when I'm done cooking everything, I will stir in some of this peanut butter. This is a natural peanut butter from Whole Foods 365 brand. Again, very affordable. This jar was $2.49, and it's made with just dry roasted peanuts and salt, so it's also a healthy option. I'm starting off by lightly spraying the inner pot with some cooking spray to prevent sticking. Then I'll add the oats, water, and coconut milk directly to the pot, followed by the mashed bananas and a pinch of salt. Give everything a good stir, and then we'll pressure cook this at high pressure using the pressure cook setting for 12 minutes. My last budget-friendly vegan Instant Pot recipe is for a lentil and cabbage soup. I'm making this recipe because I love lentils and lentil soup, and also because lentils and cabbage are both really inexpensive. For this recipe, I'm using green lentils, which you can find in any grocery store. I bought these in bulk, like all of my legumes, and it was $1.69 a pound, and I'm using a cup of lentils in this recipe. So that's like $1.69. I don't know, I need my calculator for that kind of math. How many cups and grams are in a pound? So like, so it's like 74.5 cents for 1 cup of lentils, so not bad. So just another reminder that buying dried legumes and beans is gonna save you a lot more money over the long run than if you were to buy canned. As you might have seen at the grocery store or farmer's market, cabbage comes in really big hits. Like, this is so heavy, this could be a medicine ball. Like, get a workout right now, like squatting and pressing and like all these other things. This is like legit heavy, and it was 69 cents a pound, so it's like $2. It's rubbing away. It's like $2. So yes, cabbage is a great ingredient to add to your budget-friendly kitchen. My last trick for saving money with this recipe is, instead of using store-bought vegetable broth, to use a combination of water and vegetable bouillon cubes. So I bought this container a while ago. It was $3.29. There's 6 cubes in there, and I'm gonna use 1. So that's like 55 cents. Whereas if I were to buy store-bought organic vegetable broth, it would be a minimum of $2, probably closer to $2.50 or $3.50. Whether you use this method or just vegetable broth kind of depends on what's more important to you, saving $1 or $2 or the ingredients. So this is a vegan vegetable bouillon cube, but it does have sugar in it, just obviously a tiny amount, and it has sustainable palm oil. I guess it's sustainable, so that's better. But if you're sugar-free or oil-free, then obviously you probably just want to stick with vegetable broth, but I wanted to add it as an alternative for people who are budget conscious. To get started on this soup, I'm going to cut the cabbage into quarters and then small pieces, as well as chop up some carrots, onion, and garlic. I'm lightly crushing by hand some canned whole peel tomatoes. This is slightly cheaper than buying the pre-crushed kind at the store, but you can use either option. I'm sauteing the onion, carrots, and garlic in some salt and pepper on the saute setting until they get nice and browned and have lots of flavor. Then I'll pour in the water, again, to deglaze the pan, followed by the chopped cabbage. This is a lot of cabbage, so you'll need a large spoon to push everything down below the Instant Pot maximum capacity line. Then I'll add the lentils, followed by some more salt and pepper, some bay leaves for flavor, and that vegetable bouillon cube. Then you'll add the crushed tomatoes on top. Give everything a good stir, and we'll use the pressure cook setting at high pressure for 10 minutes.